So, state of hosting. Atlassian Server is history. It's been a long 3.5 years since they initially announced that they would retire their server product line. And finally, in February, we got to that point. And since that time, server is in the rearview mirror. But we still have DC. And although we all know that Atlassian Cloud is the future, the present is that almost 30% of Atlassian's revenues is still data center. And we want to know how we get from data center to cloud and why everybody should be going to the cloud and what's the state there. So the state of hosting, cloud, DC, and the way from point A to point B. We have 3 great people here with us today. Thank you all for being here. I know it takes time out of your busy schedule, so thanks for being here. Sherif, you're distinguished product manager, and you've been at Atlassian forever, right? So you bring a lot of perspective. You can tell us what has been happening in the past and what's happening now and what's been going on. So thanks for being here. Mark Cruth is modern work coach and Atlassian advocate. I learned that. Your official titles. Thanks for being here. Sherif is a product guy, you're a marketing guy, so different perspectives from the two of you. And we have Barbara Schwarzwald from Decadis. Decadis is a solution partner as well as a marketplace vendor, so you bring a broad range of different experiences with interacting with customers. And also, you're not an Atlassian. That's why you're a good addition to that panel. Those two have to sing the tunes that they hear at Atlassian, but you can be a little more critical. So I appreciate you being in that panel as well. Okay, let's get started. We're going to do 2 questions each. I'm going to start with Sherif, then go to Mark, and then to you, Barbara, just so that you guys know what's going on. And then we're going to just play a little ping pong, and I'm going to give you some buzzwords, and we can, let the panel take control. Okay, so let me start with you, Sherif. First of all, what I want to let you know, I want to give you a heads up, because initially, I was going to be on that panel. I was going to be in that seat. So Andy approached me and said, hey, we're going to have that keynote panel, and you're an important person, so can you be on the panel? I was, yeah, sure, I'm going to do it. Felt really important. And then a couple of days later, he said, you're benched. Sherif said he would be here, and so you can't be on the panel, but you can host it if you want to. So just a heads up. It's the right call, right? So you're going to be, you're a lot more competent to speak about these things. So yeah, thanks for being here, and thanks for taking my place.
So I'll get all the easy questions, right?
Absolutely. Only the easy questions for you, Sherif. Okay, let's start. Number one, the one thing, I've been telling people about that, the one thing that I always appreciated when I was talking to you about Atlassian Cloud, and you've been like a cloud enthusiast from day one, basically, right? So you've been involved very early on. And the one thing that I really appreciated, a lot of people, when you talk about cloud with them, they're very generic. And what I mean by that is they talk about, the future is going to be SaaS. You have to go to the cloud. It's going to be, everything is going to be there, so go there. But they never talk about the value of cloud. Why should I go there? What's in it for me, except for that being the future? And you always, when we talked, you were like, no, it's better because of A or B or C. And during these conversations, we're always comparing server and cloud. And now server is not anymore, but we do have DC. So maybe we can start there, and you can tell us a little bit about why you think that Atlassian Cloud is superior to DC as well, and why that will be the future.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me. Also, it's these times of year warm my heart so much. I see so many familiar faces. So, I think when I started coming to what used to be called Summit, you guys all remember Summits. You came and you met people, and you were excited about the features and the announcements. And like every year, you just come for the relationships more and more. So it's so good to see you all, and thanks for having us. Server and DC and cloud. It has been a tough journey, I think, let's be honest, so far. And I think a lot of you experience the front line of this every day with customers all the time. Every year, our cloud offering does get better every year. We're investing a lot in our cloud offering. Everything from, obviously, AI is the most obvious, biggest investment in that area, to meeting all the needs that still DC customers have that we still have not met. And there's still plenty. So we should acknowledge the gap that exists today. Compliance still continues to be an area of work. We're announcing some new compliance things. Scale, we're going to announce some new scale limits that we've reached in cloud, to Confluence reaching 100,000 users, and Jira Service Management, 20,000 agents, and a whole bunch of stuff there. But the vast majority of R&D innovation is in the cloud, and we've been pretty transparent about that in terms of the feature capability as well as the gaps that we need to acknowledge in both the developer ecosystem. I've been around. I used to build plugins in the P2 world, if anyone remembers plugins 2, where God bless plugins 2, the flexibility was its strength. And now the tough thing about it is that it was too flexible. So the plugins framework going from P2 to Connect to Forge, and we still have a lot to go to in Forge to get to anywhere near parity for Connect, or find alternative solutions, I think as many of you know out there as well. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about. You've got all the connected SaaS apps that are available to you on the cloud. We do talk to a lot of customers, I think you guys do as well, that say we're never going to cloud, and then you'll look at their portfolio of products, and they have gone to cloud in different parts of their portfolio for different reasons. Some could be compliance reasons, some could be security, some could be, because it was a new app and we started there and we're still carrying all this Jira legacy, and someone configured our Jira like crazy 20 years ago and now we can't change it. So there's a bunch of challenges there as well. But yeah, I'm generally positive and excited about the future of cloud. I do think that I work across most of Atlassian's products, and so I see all the investment that's going into the new features, capabilities. Integrations between products are far more seamless in the cloud offering than they are in the DC world. Yeah, but there's a lot I can talk about. I don't know if you want to geek out on some of the topics or.
You mentioned AI, and that is obviously something that the cloud has, and that is connected to cloud, but not to DC. And I know that you personally are very interested in AI and do a lot of things around AI. So maybe let me play devil's advocate for a minute here and say that if you look at standalone AI tools like ChatGPT and all them, they're pretty mind-blowing, right? You look at them and it's like a wow effect. For most of the other cases where you have a software that is doing something else and you want to integrate AI somehow, and Atlassian is doing that, it's kind of a, let me say, not a wow effect. It's like, oh yeah, I can do that, that's AI, I get it. And as it is so important of a driver for people to go to the cloud, when are we at that point? Like when you look at the future, or maybe even the stuff that you're going to announce at Team, like when is AI going to be such a big differentiator that you say customers have to go to the cloud because of AI?
Yeah, really good question. I would argue to some degree it already is becoming a differentiator today. I think your comment is spot on. If you all follow any AI announcements, what you see a month ago, you're like, I can't believe they did this. And then 1 month later, you're like, oh yeah, I've seen that before. Look at this video generation. 2 minutes later, it's like, I've been really getting into AI-generated music. I don't know if you've seen Udio. Has anyone played with Udio? It's mind-blowing. It's like my kids and I just have fun. We just make songs together. Sorry, distraction. But do check out Udio. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, like that was amazing to us 4 weeks ago, and now my kids generate AI music like every day. Like it's just mind-boggling. So I think that bar of expectations changes every year. I will say there is also, and I think a lot of you I've spoken to some of you this year about it already. So I head up Atlassian's AI initiatives at the moment, and there is a massive consumption gap between what is possible with AI and what customers are doing. And it is our job, collectively, to help customers bridge that gap. Someone made the joke the other day. I heard a customer say, it's like I've got a rocket launcher and I'm swatting mosquitoes with it. I was like, that's an interesting analogy. It kind of works. While I think the potential for more incoming in cloud on AI absolutely needs to happen, we should also acknowledge the real customer values in closing that consumption gap between the simple stuff and the crazy sophisticated stuff. We talked to Domino's Pizza for the other day. They're like, with virtual agents, we're literally deflecting like thousands of tickets every week. And we would have never done that before. And virtual agents have been around for 2 years now. So I think for them, it's like, you could argue is boring, but it is a super high business value in those examples there as well. We do run surveys, and we'll talk about them with all our cloud customers, just to try and enable you guys to have data as you talk to your customers on the proof points of AI benefits, whatever. Today, about 80% of our users that use AI on a weekly basis report about an hour savings of productivity a week just from using that. Is it boring work? Yeah, but you could argue it's boring work, or you could argue you've saved them time to do something else. On the excitement stuff, I am generally excited about, I'm clearly biased because I've been working on this stuff for the last year. We're going to make a new product announcement tomorrow, and it'll be all around the idea of customers being able to create their own AI-powered agents. And as someone who hasn't written code in about 10 years, the power that customers will have to create their own agents with no code is phenomenal and run them on the Atlassian platform. So you'll hear more about that over the next few days, but I think that's what I'm most excited about. You can tell me tomorrow if it wowed you or not.
I will.
Or you can all tell me if it wowed you or not. So we've been working on that for the last year.
All right, that's a lot of product stuff and technical stuff. Let's move on to Mark. Mark, we already said modern work coach, Atlassian advocate. You're on the marketing side of the ball, and not on the typical marketing side, right? You're not talking about features a lot, but the stuff that you're talking about is more deep, I'd say. Purpose,
it's
psychological.
how you use these things and why you use a tool. That's really what it comes down to.
Exactly. So when it comes to that, why is cloud better than DC or on-prem when it comes to creating more meaning for people, creating a more modern work environment?
So it's interesting. At the end of the day, actually, I would say it actually doesn't matter if it's cloud or data center. What it comes down to is, what are you trying to do? Like, what are your people trying to do? And the thing what we're seeing, at least from a cloud perspective, is that we're investing more in those interconnected functionalities. The bridge between our products is allowing people to use AI to connect all these dots. That's what people are trying to do. At the end of the day, the product is just a product. It's just something that's helping someone do their job. And I think at the end of the day, what that means for us is that data center is helping us do the work. But if we want to do the work more efficiently, we want to do the work more effectively, that's ultimately where that functionality, that access is going to be there, is in the cloud. So that's what I've really seen as I've been working out there with our customers, is that, again, you talk to an average user, for them, I don't want them to even think about Atlassian. I want them to think about their job, but it's just so easy that they're able to do it and be like, oh yeah, it's just like Google. It's just like, you don't think, oh, I'm going to use Google today. No one thinks that. What you do is you go in, you type Google, you search your thing, and boom, you're done. I want them to do that with Atlassian. And so for us, if we're going to enable the more effective cross-collaboration, that's honestly where that's at, is in the cloud.
Yeah, very good answer. You're also I'd say, well-traveled man. You go to a lot of customer workshops and events, community events and all that. So you meet a lot of people, right? And the one thing that we have is a story that we're telling, like cloud is good, cloud is better, cloud is the future and all that. And then there's the reality of meeting people and they still being on DC and using on-prem software, basically. So when you go to an event, when you talk to people, what do you see? What's the real picture out there? Are people using DC? Are they using cloud? Are they going hybrid? What's the reality like?
It's fascinating because when you go out there and one of the things I do is I go and do a lot of workshops with our customers. So I'll sit there, I'll walk them through essentially how we solve problems and using the products to do it. And I'll actually sit there and say, how are you solving this today? And it's amazing where if we've got a data center customer, because maybe regulations, federal guidelines says I can't do that. Cool, you have to be in data center. But the thing is they're still finding ways around their data center instance. They might have spun up their own individual cloud instance that they're accessing to do things. I've actually heard it with actually AI, where a lot of organizations that are saying, oh wait, we're not going to use AI right now. People are just getting ChatGPT on their phone and they're doing it on their phone. So to think that you've closed the gap, to think that you've put your arms around it is just, I don't know, maybe a little naive to think that with that we've said, hey, you're not going to access that. This is essentially what customers are doing today, is they're going out there and trying to find the best way to solve a problem. And so I think for the big thing I've been seeing out there is that as customers look for things to solve problems, if they're on data center, they'll be like, all right, cool, I can do some of this, but they're now starting to supplement with external things. They're starting to bring that in, maybe put something out there in some tool, copy, paste it back into their instance. And I think that's the reality that we're in. And so again, data center is necessary, but there's also that reality that ultimately your data is not as safe as you think it is. Your data is not as, if that's why you're doing it, you're securing it, people are going out. So we've got to think about actually what people are actually doing with your tools.
I really like that because that reminds me a lot of the early Atlassian days when some IT admins were
You got
installing.
the box under the desk. Anyone have a box under their desk?
And then you
Yeah,
were
there are a
talking
couple
to
people.
the higher ups, and they were like, "No, we're using Microsoft." And
No,
but someone
right?
was using. And it's pretty much the same thing here, right?
That was
we're
literally
using
my
DC,
first
but we're also
job
using
when I was
cloud.
using Atlassian tools. It was the Scrum Master. I was a developer. The Scrum Master on my team had a small box, computer underneath his desk. He says, "That's our Jira server." And I was like, I friggin' love that. And so- right? Exactly.
Very well. Thank you, Mark. Let's move on to Barbara. Barbara, different perspective. We already mentioned that. Two voices that we've heard from Atlassian, and now we've already talked a bit about reality and the customers out there, and Mark brought that perspective. You're much closer to the customer as a solution partner, and I'm pretty sure one thing that you have seen in Q1 of this year is that a lot of the customers that were still on server moved to DC, right? We've pretty much established that cloud is the better solution and is going to be the future. So the one thing that I was wondering about is why did so many customers not move to the cloud in Q1 but to DC? What do you see as reasons for that?
Well, I think the answer is not that easy, right? I mean, at the beginning when the end of server was announced, there was still like a bigger gap from server to cloud. Like there were a lot of blockers for people that they were like working in their Jira instance for years and had customized it to their perfect their style of work with apps and stuff like that. And then we're like, okay, cloud is not there yet. Let's like wait a year. Or for example, in Germany, there's a lot of like compliance, data security, data protection, privacy is a very big topic. So a lot of our customers there were saying, okay, we have some red lines, some blockers, we'll just wait another year, and then after a year they looked and they wait another year. So there's like, they didn't really like start moving because they had like big blockers where it's like, okay, this is still something that we have to solve before we can even like start thinking about our cloud migration. And then when you start with the cloud migration, we say, okay, we still have a few months to go, and then they notice, okay, it's a little bit more complicated than we thought. But we don't want to have a not supported instance just on like a server license without new security updates for while we're still working on a cloud migration. So they're moving to DC first, right? Because the migration to DC is you just switch the license and that's it, and you can keep everything else as it is. And cloud migration projects, if you have no apps, they can be very short and very easy. We have done like cloud migration projects in less than a month, if there were no apps on an instance. But most of our customers have not one, not two, but 10 or 15 apps, and they have like customized the experience so that it fits them perfectly. And you have to rethink a lot of that when moving to the cloud, because there's still, like in the app area, on the migration area, there's still a lot of work to do there. It's not as smooth maybe as Atlassian would like it to be for all their customers.
So what's your forecast for the next 12 to 24 months? There's still a lot of customers, especially enterprise customers, big customers, left on DC, and their migrations are usually much more complex, right? That's why they are still on-prem. So what's your forecast for the next 12 to 24 months? What's going to happen? Do you see them moving to cloud quickly? What blockers remain that need to be addressed?
So I think for some of them, it's only like 1 year of DC as like a stopover, right? Because their migration project took longer, was more complicated than expected, something like that. Or they're still maybe waiting for one feature to be released or one thing to finally get their migration done, and then there will only be a stopover. But I also have the feeling that there are some customers for which cloud just is not an option at all, and they will stay in the data center space and maybe jealously look at AI features in the cloud that they would wish to be able to use on data center as well. And I'm not sure, some of them might see that Atlassian as a cloud-first company, sometimes when we look at the roadmaps, it feels more like a cloud-only company. They might, I don't know, some of them might be looking for other solutions as well.
Great answer. That was a pretty structured approach now for the first two questions. I would like to go more into a panel and you guys to discuss a little. I would drop some buzzwords and maybe you can give me your perspective on it. And I think the first buzzword, Barbara, is one that you should take first, as you are a marketplace vendor as well. how is the marketplace affecting the state of hosting? How does it make a difference? You already mentioned customers having a lot of apps and some of them being available for DC only, or in a different way for cloud, not the same use cases. So what would you say that in terms of, if I just drop Atlassian Marketplace, how does that affect the state of hosting?
Well, I think that Atlassian Marketplace in the cloud, the offerings with cloud have like grown a lot in the last few years, have exploded, and we see more growth license-wise for our cloud versions of our apps. So there's a lot of like music in that area. There's a lot going on, but we also see it as a little bit harder to actually create the apps and provide the functionality we want to provide for our customers in the cloud, because it's just a little bit more restrictive to get things done in the cloud, to get into the areas where you want to improve the customer's experience, because customers come to you with their pain points and you say, yeah, we would love to help you there and just build an app that does that, but we don't have an access point here or there. So from a marketplace vendor perspective, we just would hope for a little bit more flexibility to really provide our customers the value that they're looking for.
Do you want to add to that, Sherif?
No, I think you're spot on. I think we have a lot of work to do. And I think that's the reality. I think what we have struggled for a while is I think we took the parity approach. How do we get to parity? And I think now maybe that was, I think it's still a good question to ask. And I think now it's a little bit of what are other ways we can solve those problems, not necessarily parity. Can I ask a question? Can I ask Barbara a question, or is that your job? Can I?
You can. You already took my place, so please ask the questions. Do it again, Sherif.
Okay, sorry. So want to swap seats? From your experience, have you found, and like this genuine question, have you found customers that have said these are blockers, but then because of, I don't know, new products that are available in the cloud or other experiences or extensions, all of a sudden the blockers aren't blockers anymore? Or like how much in your gut feel is that bucket, and how much is the bucket of, no, I just really have to have this workflow work in the cloud and I'm not moving until then, just like.
I think for like the workflow blockers, it's sometimes more for like a convincing thing. So we had customers that said, okay, we want all of this moved to the cloud, and then instead they say, okay, we accept it. We have waited for 2 years for the parity, and it's not there. So okay, instead of trying to move everything to the cloud as it is, we'll try to do some restructuring, like rebuild stuff, simplify it before the migration so that we can actually do the move to the cloud. If they feel pressure to move to the cloud, so data center is not an option pricing-wise, size-wise for them for some reason. So we have seen that. So like the real true blockers for moving to the cloud are more on like other, like more we need our instance to be behind a firewall or something, or we need like spot on millisecond performance or something, and we can just put a bigger system here so we can see that. So like the functionality blockers, some of our customers are just basically accepting the difference that there is and deciding to renew it. But of course, that's one of the reasons why these projects then take longer, right? And why they still, when they waited 2 or 3 years to like maybe get to parity, that's okay, it's just not there and we have to do something now. So we restart new, we renew our system, we create new workflows, we simplify our structures so that we can do it with what's available in the cloud. Then that makes the actual projects more complicated. That's why they need to stop over at some points.
That's actually a pretty good transition to the second buzzword that I have, that is cloud migrations. I was involved in a quote for a customer last week, moving from server, they're still in server, to cloud. And it ended up being, I don't know, 1,800 hours or something. So that's a lot of time, right? And I think we can agree that we all want that to go more smoothly and and faster. So how is that going to develop over the next years? Is it going to be easier? What's going to be the case there?
So I think, of course, we're learning as we're going, and we're going to find new ways to make it easier, make it cleaner. I do think one of the opportunities, though, and we've seen it with the big push to cloud over the last few years, is actually that migration represents an opportunity to not just migrate what you have, do that shift and lift, and then keep working the same way you did in the old way. It's kind of going back to the parity and stuff like that, but actually sitting down and actually saying, hey, this is what it means when we say digital transformation. This is like us changing, how we're going to approach our work. And I've done a lot of work with a number of our customers who were starting that journey, and what was like, 1,800 hours to do a migration for lift and shift ended up being a fraction of that when they said, we don't actually have to do things the exact same way we did before. Like, we can start a little bit cleaner and apply maybe some new practices, some new structure for how we're gonna look at work. And I think that's really the opportunity out there, is that's how you reduce the time, is you don't actually just lift and shift because of parity problems, things like that. You actually say, hey, let's use this as an opportunity to actually change what we're going to do or how we're going to do it, and it actually makes it a much cleaner experience. So that's at least some of the things I've seen that I think the more we can encourage our customers to do that, the better.
Think of it as an opportunity.
It's an opportunity.
Not a blocker.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're a marketing monk, right?
I try.
I see our time limit, but I'm not going to give you the standard answer saying our migrations are getting better. I think we're investing in that. Our migrations team is here, and they have a booth, so do check them out in the next few days. Give them your feedback, your good and bad feedback, and your problem areas, because every little bit helps. So I really appreciate your help with that.
I'd have 100 more buzzwords, but I think we're almost out of time, and I would want to give all of you the opportunity. Let's maybe start with Barbara now, then go the other way. Where can folks find you in the next days? That would be my last question to each of you. You're here, your team is just starting, we're kicking it off today, and you're going to be here the whole week, basically. So if they want to talk to you, if they want to catch up with you, where will they find you? Where will you hang out?
So of course you can find me today here at the Infosession. I'll be here all day. But we of course also have a booth. We are at booth 27, a team, so we'll be there all week. We have like a team of 7 people. Some of you, if you want to catch me, you can get me there. You can get our guy Dave. You will want to see him. I'm sure to see his outfit this year. And
Where's that guy? Yeah.
woo! And of course, there are a lot of events around team in the evenings, and there will always be people from our team there as well, at all of those.
I can't wait to get a picture with Dave. I'm just going to say it. There we go. So let's see here. The next couple days, of course, here today. Tomorrow, I'm going to be emceeing Pulse Day, which is for our advisory customers. Some of you all may be there as part of that. So we've got 250 of our biggest advisory customers there. And then I'm going to be wandering around. We're going to be part of the teamwork booth that we always have every year to talk about the value of practices. Got some fun games we're going to be doing. I've got a talk on Wednesday, so come see me. We're talking about changing the way we do collaboration, and I'm showing you how to do it in the cloud. And then, of course, we're going to be at all the evening events, things like that. And if you want to find me somewhere, like I said, I'm wandering around, just look for the guy in the Super Mario outfit. I'm just telling you, all right? Then you'll find me.
I am at room number 7. No, just kidding. I will. A lot of you here will be at Partner Day tomorrow. I'll be for the closing keynote there, so come and grab me after that. I'll be at the AI booth, the Atlas booth, and roaming between the booths and a few other talks. So come find me in the booth area, or I'll see you at the Partner Day tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. That was thank you for being a lively group. That was a great discussion, and I think a great way to start off this day and this week. So thank you very much for being here and being open and taking my questions.